Good morning everyone, anyone who's caught this as soon as it started, hello. As always, we've got little Lollipop doing my little control check, making sure that camera is locked on, and it looks like it's locked on good today. Just going to grab the link and post this to Facebook for anyone who uses Facebook and wants to use the link from there. And we'll get on. I've got a few other things I just want to make sure we've got ready. And then we'll get started. What's nice about today is we do not have any kind of time pressure on today, where yesterday we had to be done within an hour. Okie dokes. Looks like everything is running as it should. I'll just check I've got all the equipment I need for today's lessons. Alrighty. Oh, there's one thing I've forgotten. We don't have sweeties. Hi. So today the goal is to get the saddle on a lot quicker and him just spend a lot more time with it on. We have a jump out, so I am going to have a little play since there are some poles out in the arena. It'll be nice and quick to set up. If you've been watching the stream, you'll know that Lollipop struggles a little bit with knowing where his feet are. But it's not exactly a requirement for his long-term, for his start. But for long-term, it'll be very important that he gets good at jumping. Even if I only ever use him for dressage and hacking and that sort of stuff, it's not part of his education you can skip. He has to be able to jump something. It's really good for them to have the rounded education. It's good for them to do some type of driving or long lining. It's good for them to do a bit of western. It's good for them to do a bit of show jumping, cross country, dressage, even if it's not their exact discipline. And so you're probably going to ask, why have I not worked a bit more on the jumping? Because I can't be bothered to set the jumps up each day. It's the honest truth. There have been days where we've had time pressure, and yeah, the thought of setting up a jump as well as everything else has been a bit much for me. But we have much less of a time pressure today, so hopefully we can do that. We'll grab some treats for when we get to bridling, because I am going to bridle today, unless something goes horrendously wrong. Lollipop is going to keep the hedge nicely trimmed for me. Which does need trimming back actually, quite badly. Nettles are overtaking it. Oh, Puff, you're still the favourite, Puff. You're just on... You've got to get better after you hurt yourself. Sorry, you'll be on the stream soon, don't worry. Okie dokes. Okie dokes. Hello, Lollipop. Look what we've got to play with today. Oh no, it's terrible. Hello. Hang on, you've caught me. I'm midway through organising myself. I wasn't expecting you to come rushing over, eh? Oh, funny boy. Hey, come here. Just gotta eat it. I gotta eat it. Come with that back. Come on. So, hello and welcome to the stream. As always, I have to disclaimer for anyone who hasn't watched any of these before, anyone who's new, these are not educational how to start your young horse videos. There is education in these videos, but it is more the ramblings of a wannabe horseman. I'm a horseman at this point, right? It's all I ever do with my life. Can I call myself a horseman now? 20 years into doing this. I can't quite call myself a master horseman yet. Come back when I'm 50 or 60 years in. So yeah, these videos are not meant to be a demonstration of how to start a young horse. This is me starting my horse with his challenges and talking through my thoughts. And so, those of you that haven't watched this before might be asking, well, what is the point of the stream? I have a bit of a... I find as I teach that people see the demonstrations where we start a young horse very, very quickly, and it looks amazing, and we fix problems really quick, and they think that's how all training must be. And then they go and they try and copy what we do at the shows, or what we do when we're recording something for educational purposes, and it really doesn't show the hours that are put into just hanging out, making a relationship work, and those moments as well. There are lots of moments where there are intense little lessons, but there's an awful lot of what I'm doing now where you just mooch about together. Is that a good hedge? All the horses seem to like this hedge. Good for you to have a diverse diet, I guess. Where you just mooch about and you're not asking for anything, and you're sort of just, like we're currently doing the warm-up, but in that warm-up it's not just warming up his muscles ready to ride, it is spending time together, getting a feel for how he feels today, what he's thinking. And so the goal of this stream is to show the process of going from an unstarted, talented, not easy, like I didn't pick an easy little horse to start to do this. I didn't pick a really placid, calm little animal. I've got a very prancy, very fabulous Arabian that's going to have his own very individual and quirky issues, because he's one of my horses, and all of them do, it would seem, which probably says something about me, but there we go. But the purpose of the stream is to show those hours going from unstarted young horse to doing a demonstration in November at the Horsemanship Showcase. If you haven't already gone to a showcase, or you haven't heard of the Horsemanship Showcase, it's awesome. We get some of the best natural horsemanship people in the country and outside the country to come and demonstrate in November when the cold weather's getting us all a bit down. We're struggling to get out and want to work, so you've got the inspiration of all sorts of incredible horsemen from all different styles, but with the attitude of the horse relaxation before performance and all the rest of it. So, but yeah, this is the goal. We will spend the whole year streaming 5 days a week, everything we're doing, so that in November you can look back and go, look at the hours put in to just walking the rail, crossing those front feet over so perfectly, so that when we went to the showcase we had the most amazing forequarter yields, because we've done a million 4/4 yields before the showcase. And I flicked that flag back there and told him to catch up so many times that when I do it at Liberty, he doesn't even think of it as a thing. He just does it. And if you're thinking, well, that sounds great, Jamie, but I'm not going to sit and watch 70 hours of you walking the rail, it's all good. I will be creating weekly reviews. And for anyone who's waiting for my weekly review of last week, I know. I've already started editing this week's weekly review. I just have not been able to sit down in a quiet space and talk about last week's videos. So we will get there, I promise, for anyone who's waiting for that. But yeah, disclaimer, these are not how-to videos. No matter how educational it may sound, do not think you can take your young horse, copy what I'm doing here, and do it yourself. If you do want to start your own young horse, you are more than welcome to come here. We offer lots of courses. We do lessons where we can come to you. We also have a volunteer system where you can come and muck out a few stables, learn loads by being here, being in the audience, I call it, where you can sit in the air and you can ask questions in my earbuds that I've got in. If you want to ask questions right now, there's also a chat comment section. You can definitely comment. I will respond to any comments that I get on the stream. Lollipop. We're nearly ready to start actually doing something, aren't we? Okay. But yeah, if you want to start your own young horse, we have come here, we have a B&B on site. We're also very close to Stansted Airport. So there are lots of hotels and B&Bs around. If you don't like the one we've got here, which I can't imagine how you couldn't like Mandy's B&B, but just in case. And your horse will be on livery and you can study every day with me. Or of course, you can send your horse for training and have a wonderful horse sent back to you. If you do send your horse for training, or if you do come for lessons, we try to record absolutely everything that I do with your horse, so that you can watch it quite a bit like this. I won't guarantee for this year. For this year, we're not charging extra for that service, because we don't guarantee it. The cameras do sometimes not work properly. They run out of battery. I forget to set them up correctly. There's all sorts of little technical issues that can come up. You're very zen today, Lollipop. Pretty laid back about the whole situation, huh? That's good. That's what we want. You know the trot's coming, though, don't you? You can become a bit predictable. It's good. You want to be predictable enough. Like he knows I send him out on the circle and he goes into trot. He knows. And then we'll probably build up to a canter. And he's probably going to ask for a break in a minute here. Because see, I did my trot canter stuff. Now I get a break. You are funny, aren't you? That trot's better already, isn't it? So for those of you that didn't know, when we first started with him, he came out here. It was fire-breathing dragon right out the gate. High energy, lots to do. Very, very busy. And we've been working a lot on getting him to come out here and just have a more laid-back trot. Not quite such a high-energy, wild horse trot. And you do that just by letting them trot for a long time until they find a rhythm. And he's really, today, although he's a little bit counterbent, looking to that outside, it's kind of interesting the way he's doing that. It's very similar to what he does when the saddle's on. Makes me wonder if he maybe tweaked something when he bucked and it's a little bit stiff. He's obviously not lame, at least my inexperienced, I'm not a vet, so if you are a vet and you see lameness, please let me know. I'm paranoid. I have delicate little Arabs, so they do go lame quite easily. So I am a little bit paranoid. There we go. Might just be because the outside's very interesting, and let's face it, I'm not particularly interesting. Hi! Oh, I do have sweeties. That might make me slightly more interesting. Hey. It's quite a common thing, actually, when you work with a horse. That was great flag handling there, Jamie. But they, you know, they look to the outside not because, you know, it's just more interesting out there. Although the way he's doing it looks more like he's looking at his back. What is that? What is that? What are you doing? Prance machine. Very good. Very good. I normally walk you off after that, but you look more like you're in a standing mood. Have you been a super good boy today? You're being very handsome. Oh, that face. You have the sweetest little face, don't you? You do. You're adorable. You're utterly adorable, aren't you? No biting. No biting. No, vicious Arab. No biting with those big bitey teeth. What you doing with those big bitey teeth? Huh? Oh, so savage. So savage with those teeth. Oh. Yeah, so when I do my weekly review, this won't be in the weekly review. And this is not going to be in my how to start a young horse video either. But this is the sort of thing that really makes a relationship. But nobody wants to see this, especially in terms of, like, if I was selling you an educational video, you don't want to see me smooching on my horse. You want to see the bits that are relevant, because you're going to do this anyway, if you love your horse any. But I really wanted to create a record that showed, you know, this is important too. It might not be crucial in the same way that a perfect hindquarter yield is crucial. What am I talking about? It is crucial. What am I on about? I think we just assume when we teach that everyone's going to do stuff like that, and that they're going to get that we do that too. Don't give me the... Oh, he's already figured out the cute face thing. You see that? Gives me the big brown eyes, and then I don't want to send him out because he's adorable. I swear they figured that out way too early. But yeah, when I train horses, I don't spend so long canoodling. I try to keep it so that they just like me. Just enough, you know. Not so much that they want to stay here forever, but just enough that when I ask them to do something, I have trust built up. And in the case of some horses, that is a lot longer than others. You know, if the trust, if we need to do things that are more difficult for them emotionally, we may need to build up more trust. Oh, good boy, lollipop. Keep creeping in here. It's very cheeky to creep in here. Not forward, out. Go on, out you go. Bigger circles are actually easier for you. Huh, aren't they? They actually are easier for you. You don't have to bend so tight. So yeah, but I'm going to come back into you anyway, so... There we go. But yeah, there's a lot of people who'd want to correct that counter bending. There's no need at this point, right? He's still learning and still experimenting with circles. The rope is tugging on his nose. When I ride him, I'll correct that. And when I finish, I'll bend him in such a way that means that he has to bend the other way. I'll try and reward him when he's not counterbent, rather than when he is. And over years and years and years of practice, that will just go away. If it's where he's done it 5 times in a row, or even more, and it's become sort of an automatic habit, then I might do something about it. But until that point, it's no big deal. It's no big deal, is it, Lollipop? Let's have a look, see if you can think about this jump, maybe. Go on. You were already thinking away, weren't you? I know. Oh dear. There we go. Good prance, you wonder Arab. There you go. So this time, it was interesting. The last few times he's done it, he's not really... Attaboy. He's come in really straight, but not been thinking about the jump until right up to it. So I've been kind of ignoring... Hi. I've been just sort of letting him run into it until he starts thinking about it. By this time, it was about here that he really considered it, which is perfect. That's where I want him to consider the jump. But what he thought was get round it. He didn't think, how do I jump it? He thought, how do I get past it, outside of it? And so I applied pressure. Hi, very clever. I applied pressure until he thought over it, and then tried to take the pressure off when he was thinking over it. Because I don't mind if he goes up to it, walks, steps over it, trots afterwards, as long as through that whole process he's thinking towards the jump, not away. Huh, what happened? But what happened, Lollipop? You know, that was a little different, wasn't it? That was a little different. That wasn't how we've done it before. Let's get that saddle on you, hey? We're gonna get that saddle on you, kiddo. Why not? Oh, little Lollipop. He... Oh no. Not the saddle again. Huh. So basically, if he is almost exactly the same as he was yesterday, which for those of you that weren't watching yesterday, he was okay walk and trot, had a little bit of a buck at canter, but mostly was just upset about the stirrups bouncing. And we were working on getting him to be okay with the stirrups slapping his side. Then I'll ride him today at the walk. If after yesterday's session it's made him a touch worse, which is always possible, right, then what we'll actually do is tie the stirrups to the girth so that they don't flap as much when they're against his side. You're much more aware of what's going on today, aren't you, in terms of the saddling? Hey, much more aware. But yeah, he really doesn't like the clanging stirrup. I think the first thing that really got him was it hit him here on the elbow, and we didn't like that, did we? No. I think perhaps if I'd been Super Master Horseman, I would have known that because he's so sensitive, it would be an issue, the stirrups, and I would have flapped them a bit more before getting him to canter, and I would have maybe tied them up to the girth, knowing that his trot was super prancy and probably would make them slap around more than most horses would have them slap around. And I can justify, you know, I can sit here and tell you all sorts of clever things that would suggest why I didn't think of that. The reality was he's so laid back, I didn't even think saddling would be an issue, because he's so laid back about me being over his back and the flank roping and everything else. He was so chill that I didn't I honestly didn't expect, I expected this to be a bit of a non-event, and actually I was more anticipating that the bridle would be a big event, and the bridle was a non-event, and the scare saddling was, so. But it's not, I find with horsemanship it's rarely the things that go right that make you great at this. It's how you handle the things when they go wrong. And obviously we've upset him with the stirrups because we would normally be riding at this point. There we go. I notice he's a little bit tight in his neck, clumped up, so treats can sometimes help with that. Help loosen off that jaw. There we go, kiddo. I say that like as if young horse starting is one of those things you only get to do it once. Once the horse is started, what you've done is there, and it will probably be there for most of their life, and you either have to work on it and fix it, or so you don't get to do the start a second time, right? If you mess it up or if you make a big mistake, you then have to just adjust your training to help fix the mistake that you made, and you will make many mistakes every start, as far as I'm concerned. I think even master horsemen make mistakes, they just fix their mistakes so quickly you wouldn't know they happened. And basically, if you're asking me what a mistake is, it's every time the horse gets tense. The goal of young horse training is that there is absolutely no stress involved. They've had a couple where they've come in and they just haven't fussed about anything. They haven't minded it at all. They've been a little, normally they're a little dull at the beginning, and you have to sort of tell them, come on, you got to listen. And you do that gradually enough that they don't really worry. Come on, we'll go for a mosey. Come on, kiddo, we'll go for a little mosey. So, you know, the girthing and the stirrups and all that aren't an issue because they're pretty laid back driving horse types. But yeah, if your horse bucks, you've definitely made a mistake. If your horse locks its neck, I'd consider that a mistake. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm being very hard on myself because I want to be the best. I want to get to a point where I can start a horse and at no point do they get tense or stressed or worried, because it all makes sense to them the entire process. The most you get is an ears back and a tight neck from maybe telling them off or for putting something on them that they didn't like. That would always be the goal. Or even, forget it, let's make the goal that they never even stress at all. Is it even possible? Is it possible to explain it in such a way that at no point you feel any fear or concern for what's happening? You understand everything that I say without question and without worry? And so they say horsemanship can be explained in about 20 minutes but take about 2 lifetimes to master. But yeah, I think my biggest mistake with Lollipop has been the stirrups, not finding a way to make them not move too much for him. I could have just taken a little bit of string and just tied this to here to limit the movement that the stirrup has so that he doesn't get clonked so much when he does his big prancy trot. Or I could have maybe just sat on him for that first trot and held the stirrups down myself, but that would have been quite risky in a big open arena like this instead of a round pen. That boy. Oh, he's so clever. You're so clever, aren't you, hey? You alright? Let's see if we can't see that trot, hey? You know what's coming. We've done it the same for a week, hey? You're not stupid. The joy of working with Arabians. So clever. He's still definitely concerned. You can see it. But we can ride you a little concerned. We can deal with that. Ooh. Straight into bucking, huh? Come on then. Kiddo. Little clunk on the stirrup on the outside. Set off a little reaction there. Atta boy. Come on. Not over me. Don't go over the top of me. Don't go over the top of me. Yeah? There we go. This is interesting that he's come straight out the barrel with it. But he actually looks better than I remember him looking yesterday. As in, his face looks less concerned. Almost as if he was anticipating it a bit more. Something else to add. A horse bucking on the ground does not mean you don't have to ride. Not even slightly, right? We had a horse at Pirelli when I used to work for Pirelli called Vision, and if you didn't saddle her every day, she'd buck when you put it back on. You know, and she was, however old she was, been ridden hundreds of times. But if she didn't have a saddle on for a few days, she'd just have a little rodeo. And you can see she wasn't concerned, right? It was just like, I don't like this. It was almost like she was shifting her back out. Wonder how Vigi's doing these days. She's with Sean Coleman there. She was my she was my charge because I was one of the best bareback riders at the time, or at least I thought I was. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe it was just that I was the person best suited. She'd had something. That's it. Something under her girth or something like that, and got a big saddle sore from going cutting with just, I think, like a bit of hay stuck under her girth. It was a real unfortunate thing. And so I rode her bareback for about 8 months. It was my job to keep her fit while while she got better with that. Attaboy. It was 8 months of that, and bless her, she did get better. She did really well. I got woken up one day by their farrier because I'd fallen asleep cantering the cloverleaf on her. I get the feeling all of my mad Australia and America stories are going to end up coming out on this stream. Hey? Got some weird ones. Got some weird ones. Good boy. That's looking better, isn't it? That bending. That's it. Yeah, clever boy. He did it. He's like, I'm still not overly sure about that saddle thing. We didn't really do sweeties the last few days, so I don't quite know why. I had them in my pocket and everything. I just didn't really use them. Again, not an educational how-to. I do so much of my young horse starting is done by instinct, not by... And Zoe teases me for it relentlessly because I skip so much stuff and I do so many things out of order is it, Lollipop? What you seen? What you seen off in the distance? But I do things based on what pops into my head and how I feel. I have a plan, like you hear every time I start the stream, I set my plan. Get the saddle on quick and early, get on and ride at the walk is today's plan, but then from there it's all just what I feel, what I see. Oh, there's a canal boat going by. That'll do. We're right on a river and it's a canal lane, and so from the perspective of the arena you just see someone standing sliding sideways on the ground because you can't see the boat. So you just see the sort of their torso cruising along. Let's have a look at your bridle, Lollipop. Hey? Let's have a little look at your bridle. The other reason, I probably could have ridden him at the walk yesterday, but I didn't want to do that yesterday because I had a time restraint. Unlike today, it's taken us, 35 minutes to get to bridling, which for a young horse is not bad. We could have sped it up if I hadn't spent so long on the warm-up. I could jump on him without a bridle potentially and do it in the halter. He's sensitive enough. But I'd quite like to start in the bridle, start as I mean to go on for this one. And because of that time restriction yesterday, and not knowing how long, if this first walk turns into a rodeo, or if this bridle turns into a big stress because something spooks him like it did last time, I don't want to have to go, well, I have to finish because there's a time restraint. Today my only time restraint is that I've got 2 more horses to work with, and I've got to get the kids at 2:30. But if it's absolutely desperate, technically speaking, Zoe could get the kids today. So there are backups in place, which means if this takes 2.5 hours, it takes 2.5 hours. And because I've set it up in such a fashion that if it takes 2.5 hours, it takes 2.5 hours, it'll only take 10 minutes. Which is almost always how it works. If you need it to take 10 minutes, guess what? You can do a half-assed job and it'll take 20. But if you've got all the time in the world, it'll probably be 10 minutes and done. Where's it gone? Where's it? It's got tangled up in your bit. That's no good, is it? There's a point off my master horseman score, hey? Not setting your bridle up ready. I kind of talked about it a little bit before, the balance between being laid back and being prepared for anything to happen. I'm always a little bit on the too laid back side. Hey, I know this. Far more often than I'd like. I'm too laid back about something and I get into trouble because of it. Hey. Cool. What do you think? You already had a sweetie for it. How many sweeties do you think you need for putting a bridle on? Hey? You're very still in the mouth with that, aren't you? What a good boy. Not to mention you're ridiculously handsome in it. I know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put you in an English bridle. You're so handsome in the Western bridle, though, aren't you? Yeah, you have to learn about the bridle a bit, hey? There, lollipop. Giving to that pressure. Do a little bit of giving to the bridle pressure. And then we'll maybe hop on, hey? What do you think? Hop on and mooch around a bit? Hop off and be done? That's the plan. That is the plan. Yeah, it's a fine balance, I think, with starting a young horse. You know, he's still not completely okay with the saddle, still a little iffy. But if I hammer the saddle and like keep driving him forward and go, 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 I'm just going to make it a stressful thing, right? I'm just going to make it an issue where if I'm able to move on and start giving him a reason why we would want the saddle, because I want to sit in it and I want to do stuff in it. A little bit like here as well, I'm saying come over here. Why do you want to come over here? I've got a sweetie. I know you can't see on that side, but it's safe. I promise you it's safe. No. No. Now you will, if you've seen the earlier videos, you'll know that we did this the other day and something spooked him on the outside and he had a rodeo. But what you don't realise is about my position here, where I'm stood, is one of the safest positions you can be with a horse, up close. Obviously if you're at far enough away it's safer, but right here, good boy, right here, right up against the horse, if he bucks, your elbow will prevent him from landing on top of you. He has to do a clever little twist with his front leg to catch your legs, which of course they can do, they're very talented. But they can't kick you with the back feet. The worst they could do is step on your feet, and you're prepared for that. And he's never going to do any of that deliberately, of course he isn't. He's really not that type of horse. He's such a sweet animal. However, you stay prepared for all of these eventualities. You're always ready for these things. Whilst also not being overly stressed, you're always ready in case something happens. And like here, it's slightly less safe. He can hit me with that front foot. He's slightly behind me, so I can't entirely see what he's saying, so you'll quite often see me say, you know, catch up, come up here. Because when I'm here, shoulder to shoulder, I'm actually in a much safer position. If he barges me, my elbow's going to come up. And yet, you see me walking with my loose hands, my relaxed posture. I'm not thinking about, what if he does that? You know, we're not going to have that sort of tension. We're just nosing around, right? We're just having a good time. But in my mind, I'm very prepared, and I'm aware, like he's gone a little bit behind, but I'm not going to stress about it. I'm just slightly more ready to adjust my position, to do some other things. Being truly masterful at doing this means knowing everything that can go wrong, knowing all the potential risks of what you're doing, and yet not actually worrying about them in the moment. Kids, little teenagers and all the rest of it, they are so completely calm about everything. They never stress, they never worry, but they also have no concept of what could potentially go wrong. You need that level of laid-back attitude towards riding, whilst also being prepared to do whatever's needed to help fix any potential problem. That's the trick. Because of course once we know what's going to go wrong, our brain starts worrying about what's going to go wrong, and then we get tense and we don't ride well. And on the flip side, someone who's just got all the confidence in all the world but has never had a situation go sideways, when things do go wrong, which they always will, they're not going to know how to react, and they're going to get themselves stuck or hurt. We see that quite often with people who have had one very good horse and they get a new one, and that new horse is not as safe as the old one. Hey, you guys are amazing. You let us get away with so much. Okay, ready, kiddo? Let's ride, huh? Should we go for a ride? What do you think? Ooh, we need to do a bit more of that, don't we? Hey? I haven't actually done it with him. There's an exercise where we wrap the lead rope around their bum. The reason I haven't bothered to do it with him is I've done it with him at the field many a time. It looks like we need to do it a bit more with the saddle on, hey? Thankfully, I am 98% confident that during this next 10-15 minutes of riding, nothing is going to wrap around his bum. Hey? We hope so, don't we? In my own arena at walk, that nothing is going to wrap around your bum. We would hope so, wouldn't we? Yeah. Right, big guy. My wonder. Hey, you're okay, big guy. Don't want to adjust those back feet a little bit so you're a bit stronger when I get up there. There we go. It's a really simple little thing. Even your adult horses will appreciate it. Just before you get on, just double check that they are standing square and strong. Hi. That they're standing square and strong. So that when you get up there, you don't accidentally knock them off balance. Now we always hesitate here and watch the eye. Looking pretty good, hey? Because that moment where I swing my leg over and I put my foot in that stirrup is the most dangerous moment in terms of mounting a young horse. Because now that I'm in the saddle and I'm sat, I'll do my best to stay on. I've got my position, got my reins ready, I'm sort of set for things to go wrong. But when that leg swings over, that's the moment. If they rodeo then, we talked a little bit in the bareback mounting section about how if my feet are together, I'll 9 times out of 10 land on my feet. It's the same when you're getting on the saddle. Once you separate those legs, you're much less likely to land on your feet. And like here, I'm much less likely to land on my feet if he starts rodeoing with me, for whatever reason. Atta boy, hey? Atta kiddo. I don't know if you were watching yesterday, maybe you were, maybe you weren't. We did a little exercise with him where he wanted to walk and I said, do not. You will stand. And I said, we won't know if that's made a difference until today. I think it's made a difference. He seems a lot more willing to stand today, and just a lot calmer in general. Alright, kiddo, I'm going to ask you for something while I'm up here. First time. You see the question? What do you want? Hi, that's perfect. Thank you. It's such a silly thing, right? And so many people don't even consider it. But going from, he's looked around this side several times, but to take it and ask for it is completely different from just him doing it on his own, right? It's such a little thing, but it's him accepting me as a leader up here. And because he's accepted me so well on the ground, it was a non-event, right? But if he hadn't accepted me on the ground, you can bet your last dollar that he would have not accepted me up here. Good little lollipop. That's not really the best time for a canoe to be led past. You right, kiddo? We do get some distractions here, don't we? Hey? Oh, we do get some distractions. I would have liked to have seen the Fitbit data on me and Lollipop there. I think my heart probably went up to 120 and his did something similar. But this is the thing, you're prepared for things to happen. You're ready in case something happens, but you don't necessarily do anything, right? My hand is on my saddle horn and it looks very relaxed, but it's actually ready to push me into the saddle, and this hand is ready to grab this rein and bend him towards the scary thing. So although I always look very laid back, I'm actually very ready to do something if it's needed. Now, Lollipop, we're going to try and take our first step. Again, I'm going to set my reins up, relax my hand on the saddle horn, ready to brace if I need it. I'm just going to try and guide his nose this way. But I'm just going to keep guiding until maybe a foot thinks about moving. He's willing. There we go. Oh, and a big sigh and a lick and chew, lovely. What I'm wanting to do with that hand position coming out is I'm wanting to knock him a little off balance so that he thinks about taking a step. But in an ideal world, he would take the step on his own and I would just let him, rather than me using my legs to sort of nudge him into that first step. I'd like him to think about, could you maybe walk off with me up here? Hi, that's my foot. Yeah, it is. And you can see him sort of going, I know you want something, but I don't quite get what it is. It's a very nice ankle to your foot.